Hey guys, my name is Summer. Welcome to my lesson unit presentation for our class. I'm going to go ahead and get rolling here. I chose to do my lesson unit on symbolism and allegory in text for a 10th grade English class. The standards that I'll be going over are the Common Core State Standard for English Language Arts Literacy 9th, 10th grade 4, 3, and 2. I will go over those whenever I get to that part of the lesson. I chose this topic because I've always been really interested in allegory and symbolism in text and the way that that can move a reader. I feel like it's really fascinating how writers and authors can use symbolism and allegory to convey to us what it is that they're trying to say. And so coming up with a lesson unit for that was really a great way for me to explore it more, as well as getting the opportunity to try to teach it to someone else too. So the trade books I chose are Anything Goes, A Biography of the Roaring Twenties by Lucy Moore. This just does a great job of capturing what the Jazz Age was like. And I thought that that would pair well with The Great Gatsby, which is the main book that I chose for this. I chose The Great Gatsby because F. Scott Fitzgerald does a wonderful job of using symbolism and the allegory of the American dream to summarize what it was like living in the passionate jazz age. And I chose The Great Gatsby because of the symbolism and allegory that F. Scott Fitzgerald does use. I thought that that would be a good example for 10th graders to follow along with. And also, I am using the Lorax to just kind of mirror symbolism and allegory to go along with The Great Gatsby to use as an example throughout the entire lesson for where kids might be struggling, students might be struggling, or need a little extra instruction. The Lorax is there to kind of pair with to help guide them without giving them all of the answers. So the pre-reading lesson, the Common Core State Standard that goes along with that is 10.4, 9 through 10.4. Determine the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in the text, including figurative and connotative meanings. Analyze the cumulative impact of specific word choices on meaning and tone. This would be the introduction to allegory and symbolism. The objectives here are I can recognize symbolism and allegory based on the author's word choice. The activity in this assessment is an anticipation guide. I chose anticipation guides because it does a really good job of just kind of preparing the students for success whenever we are going to jump into a story. And to make it interesting, to kind of break things up, I would have them do the anticipation guide on their own, and then we'd work together as a class to complete it as well, to just kind of engage the students. For remediation, students who are struggling with the lesson, they would be pulled aside into a small group to work together to recognize symbolism in a poem that can be found online called Vibrant Colors by Paul T. East, and Allegory in the Fable The Fox and the Stork. In my lesson plan, I have links for those websites that those could be found at, just to provide the extra media platform. For further practice, students who are iffy about the lesson, they would be asked to find the crash course video on YouTube titled Like Pale Gold. It is by John Green. He discusses symbolism in The Great Gatsby. And then for enrichment, students who are good to go with the assessment, they would be asked to find the video on YouTube. It's an interpretation of Plato's allegory of the cave titled The Cave, an adaptation of Plato's allegory in clay, and watch it to gain further insight on allegory. Then the students who are iffy and the students who are good to go would be jigsawed together to talk about what they learned from those two videos. This is the anticipation guide for the lesson for The Great Gatsby. The during reading lesson is based off of the Common Core State Standard 9 through 10.3. Analyze how complex characters develop over the course of a text, interact with other characters, and advance the plot or develop the theme. The objectives here are: I can recognize and define symbolism and allegory. I can use critical thinking to analyze characters and their motives in a story. The activity and assessment here are a quiz and action belief chart. The quiz is for accountability to make sure that the students, one, understand what's going on in The Great Gatsby, that they are understanding symbolism and allegory, and that they are doing their part in completing their homework assignments. The action belief chart is so that we can come alongside that state standard of analyzing the complex characters that develop the theme and advance the plot of the story. So the remediation here would be for the students who are struggling with their lesson. They would be pulled into a group by themselves to work together and discuss character traits of characters in the Lorax. And the teacher would use the action belief chart for the Lorax to assist them in filling out theirs for The Great Gatsby. For further practice, students who are iffy about the lessons would be asked to watch the Taylor Swift music video for her song "Look What You Made Me Do." Students are to write down the symbolism that they find in the music video and her lyrics and what they think it means. And when they're done, they'd have to do research about why she wrote this song and made this video, and write a one-paragraph summary about the music video and what they find, and why that makes her symbolism more powerful. For enrichment, for the students who are good to go, they would be asked to watch both crash course videos by John Green on The Great Gatsby. The first video is titled "Like Pale Gold." The second video is titled "Was Gatsby Great?" After watching the videos, the students will write a one-paragraph opinionated response to the question, must characters be likable for a story to be good? This is the action belief chart for this lesson. For the after reading lesson, the Common Core State Standard is the 9 through 10.2. Determine a theme or central idea of a text and analyze in detail its development over the course of a text, including how it emerges and is shaped and refined by specific details. Provide an objective summary of the text. The objectives are: I can identify the central idea of a story and recognize the symbolism used. I can identify the allegory of The Great Gatsby. The activity and assessment would be quiz and interact. The quiz would be summing up everything that we've learned about symbolism and allegory on its own and within The Great Gatsby, a quiz on The Great Gatsby, and using the interact activity to allow students to kind of take over, take responsibility, and kind of just be involved. The interact happens in 4 stages: comprehension, relating, valuation, and reflection. And after the students facilitate that discussion, they would take the quiz, and we would move on to remediation for students who are still struggling with the lesson so far. They would be given a copy of The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. They will discuss the central idea and the theme of the book, as well as any symbolism used within it. For further practice, students who are iffy about the lesson, they would be asked to read Aesop's fable, The Fox and the Stork, and after reading it, students will write their own short allegory using what they know from the Lorax, The Great Gatsby, and this fable that they've just read. For enrichment, students who are good to go about lessons will be asked to watch a video clip about the movie The Matrix and compare it to the video from YouTube that interprets Plato's allegory of the cave. They will write a one-paragraph on it comparing The Matrix and Plato's allegory of the cave, because The Matrix is based off of Plato's allegory of the cave. This is the interact scoring sheet for the lesson. In conclusion, I know that I went through that really quickly. It's because Canvas is having such a hard time processing my presentation that I'm trying to make this short enough for Canvas to recognize it, to get it uploaded, so that this isn't late and that it can get the response that it needs to get. But anyway, I am going to try to also upload a copy of my lesson plan to kind of get an idea of what it's about. All of the links for the videos mentioned are going to be in that lesson plan. All of the activities and the assessments are going to be in the lesson plan about how to engage the students. Thank you for listening, and have a great rest of your week.